Aziz's adventure in Samarkand, a journey of discovery and heritage. Chapter 1, the exciting announcement. In the heart of Uzbekistan, in a small bustling town, lived a young boy named Aziz. His eyes sparkled with curiosity, and his mind was always full of questions. Aziz loved learning about the world, especially about the rich history of his own country. One bright morning, Aziz rushed to school, his backpack bouncing behind him. The air was crisp and the streets were alive with the familiar sounds of the town waking up. As he entered his classroom, he noticed a buzz of excitement among his classmates. They were all gathered around their teacher, Mr. Karimov, who was pinning a large, colourful poster on the bulletin board. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Karimov greeted them with his usual warm smile. "Today I have a special announcement. Next week we are going on a school trip to Samarkand." The room erupted in cheers and excited chatter. Samarkand. Aziz had always dreamed of visiting the city he had heard so much about in stories and history books. It was a place of ancient wonders, a jewel of Islamic architecture, and a crossroads of cultures. As Mr. Karimov explained the details of the trip, Aziz's imagination soared. He pictured the majestic Registan Square, the enchanting Shah-i-Zinda, and the grandeur of the Bibi-Khanym Mosque. He thought about the great scholars and poets who had walked the same streets centuries ago. We'll learn about the rich history of Samarkand and see some of the most beautiful Islamic art and architecture in the world, Mr. Karimov said. But remember, this trip is not just about seeing historical sites. It's also about understanding our heritage, our culture, and the values that have shaped us. Aziz nodded, his heart swelling with pride and excitement. He knew this trip would be more than just an adventure. It would be a journey through time, a chance to connect with his roots and learn about the great Islamic civilization that had flourished in his homeland. The bell rang, signalling the start of the day, but Aziz's mind was already journeying through the ancient streets of Samarkand. He couldn't wait to explore the city, uncover its secrets, and discover the treasures of his heritage. The adventure was just beginning. Chapter 2, Preparations and Promises. The days leading up to the school trip to Samarkand were filled with anticipation and excitement. Aziz spent evenings poring over books and maps, learning as much as he could about the city's history and landmarks. He wanted to be fully prepared to soak in every detail of the adventure. In school, the buzz about the trip grew louder. Aziz and his friends, Layla and Hassan, gathered during breaks to discuss what they were most excited to see. Layla was eager to explore the colourful bazaars, while Hassan was fascinated by the prospect of seeing the ancient observatory. Mr. Karimov noticed their enthusiasm and decided to turn their excitement into a learning experience. He assigned each student a topic related to Samarkand's history or culture to research and present during the trip. Aziz was thrilled to be given the task of learning about the Islamic architecture of the city. As the departure day approached, the class gathered to discuss the trip's logistics and rules. Mr. Karimov emphasized the importance of respecting the places they would visit and the people they would meet. "Remember," he said, "we are not just tourists, we are ambassadors of our culture and our school." That evening, at home, Aziz carefully packed his backpack, ensuring he had everything he would need: a notebook, a camera, and a small guidebook on Samarkand. His mother helped him pack, adding a few snacks and a warm scarf. Before going to bed, Aziz's father sat down with him for a quiet talk. "Aziz, this trip is a wonderful opportunity for you to learn and grow. Remember to be kind, helpful, and respectful. These values are a big part of who we are and what our culture stands for." Aziz nodded, understanding the weight of his father's words. He felt a sense of responsibility, not just to learn, but to represent his family's values and traditions. As he lay in bed, Aziz thought about the journey ahead. He was excited to see the historical sites of Samarkand, but he also felt a deeper purpose. This trip was about more than just seeing new places. It was about connecting with his cultural roots and living the values he had been taught. With a heart full of promises and a mind eager to learn, Aziz drifted into sleep, dreaming of the ancient and magnificent city that awaited him. Chapter 3, The Journey Begins. The day of the school trip to Samarkand finally arrived. Aziz woke up before the sunrise, filled with an energy he had never felt before. He dressed quickly, grabbed his backpack and headed to the school, where a bus awaited the excited group of students and their teacher, Mr. Karimov. The early morning air was cool and refreshing as Aziz and his classmates boarded the bus. Everyone was buzzing with anticipation, chatting about what they hoped to see and learn. As the bus started its journey, the sun began to rise, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Mr. Karimov stood at the front of the bus with a microphone. Today we embark on a journey to one of the most historic cities in our country, and indeed in the Islamic world. Samarkand is not just a city, it's a testament to our rich heritage and the contributions of our ancestors to art, science and culture. As the bus rolled through the scenic landscapes of Uzbekistan, Aziz gazed out of the window, lost in thought. He thought about the stories and histories he had read, each landmark holding centuries of tales and wisdom. The journey was long, but it didn't feel so. The students took turns sharing what they had learned in their research. Layla spoke about the traditional crafts of Samarkand, while Hassan discussed the historical significance of the Ulugh Beg Observatory. When it was Aziz's turn, he talked about the Islamic architecture of the city, describing the intricate designs and the symbolic meanings behind them. And the stories and discussions made the journey lively and educational. Aziz felt a sense of pride in his heritage, realizing how much his ancestors had contributed to the world. The bus was not just transporting them to a different city, it was taking them on a voyage through time. As they neared Samarkand, the excitement on the bus was palpable. Aziz pressed his face against the window, eager for the first glimpse of the city's famous skyline. And then, there it was, the majestic domes and towering minarets of Samarkand, just as magnificent as he had imagined. The bus entered the city, passing through bustling streets and ancient neighborhoods. Aziz's heart raced with excitement. Every corner of the city seemed to whisper stories of the past. Finally, the bus came to a stop and Mr. Karimov announced, "Welcome to Samarkand, the jewel of the East. Let's begin our adventure and discover the wonders of this historic city." The doors of the bus opened and Aziz stepped out, his eyes wide with wonder. He was ready to explore, learn, and experience the magic of Samarkand. The journey had just begun, but Aziz already knew it would be an unforgettable one. Chapter 4: Discovering Samarkand. The group's first stop in Samarkand was the majestic Registan Square, surrounded by its 3 iconic madrasas. Aziz stood in awe as Mr. Karimov explained the history of the square, once the heart of the ancient city. The intricate tilework, grand domes and towering minarets were not just architectural marvels, but also a testament to the Islamic Golden Age of education and knowledge. As they walked through the square, Aziz marvelled at the detailed geometric patterns and calligraphy that adorned the buildings. He remembered his father's words about the importance of knowledge in Islam, and here it was, etched in stone and tile. Next, they visited the Shah-i-Zinda, a necropolis famous for its blue-tiled mausoleums. "This place is known as the Living King," explained Mr. Karimov. "It's a site of pilgrimage, reflecting our deep respect for ancestors and our spiritual heritage." Aziz felt a sense of tranquility as he walked among the tombs, each telling a story of the past. Their journey continued to the Bibi-Khanym Mosque, once one of the largest mosques in the Islamic world. Aziz listened intently as Mr. Karimov described how the mosque was built by Tamerlane and named after his wife. The mosque's scale and beauty left Aziz speechless, and he thought about the value of love and dedication reflected in its history. In the afternoon, the group explored the bustling Siab Bazaar. Aziz was captivated by the vibrant colours, the smells of spices, and the sounds of vendors and buyers. Layla and Hassan joined him in trying local sweets and fruits, laughing and chatting with the friendly vendors. Aziz remembered the Islamic teachings about the importance of honest trade and community, seeing them in action in the lively market. As the day turned to evening, the group gathered in a traditional Uzbek restaurant. Over a meal of plov, bread, and sweet samosas, they shared their experiences and learnings of the day. Aziz felt a deep connection with his classmates, realizing that they were not just learning about history and culture, but also about each other. The day in Samarkand had been full of discoveries and lessons. As Aziz lay in bed that night, he thought about the day's adventures. He had seen the beauty of Islamic art, the richness of his culture, and the values that had shaped his heritage. He fell asleep with a smile, eager for what the next day in Samarkand would bring. Chapter 5: The Lost Companion. The next day in Samarkand promised more adventures. The morning started with a visit to the colourful and bustling bazaar. Aziz, Layla, Hassan and their classmates were excited to explore the maze of stalls selling everything from handcrafted pottery to traditional textiles. Mr. Karimov reminded the group to stay together and be mindful of their surroundings. The bazaar was a labyrinth of narrow alleys and crowded shops, alive with the chatter of locals and the bargaining of traders. As they moved through the bazaar, Aziz was drawn to a stall displaying intricate miniature paintings. He was so engrossed in the art that he didn't realize he had strayed from the group. When he looked up, his classmates were nowhere in sight. Panic set in as Aziz tried to retrace his steps, but the alley seemed to twist and turn in every direction. The lively sounds of the bazaar, once exciting, now felt overwhelming. Aziz remembered the advice his parents had given him about staying calm in unfamiliar situations. Taking a deep breath, he approached a friendly-looking vendor. Using his limited Uzbek and hand gestures, Aziz explained that he was lost. The vendor, understanding his predicament, smiled reassuringly and gestured for him to wait. Meanwhile, Mr. Karimov had realized that Aziz was missing and organized the students to search for him. Layla and Hassan were especially worried, knowing how easily one could get lost in the bustling bazaar. Back at the stall, the vendor offered Aziz a cup of tea and some sweets, comforting him with kind words. The gesture reminded Aziz of the Islamic value of hospitality and kindness towards strangers. After what seemed like an eternity, Aziz heard familiar voices calling his name. It was his classmates, led by Mr. Karimov. Relief washed over him as he was reunited with his friends. Layla and Hassan hugged him, relieved and happy to see him safe. Mr. Karimov thanked the vendor for his kindness and gathered the group to reflect on what had happened. Today, we learned an important lesson about staying aware of our surroundings and looking out for each other, he said. Aziz, you showed courage by staying calm and seeking help, and we all showed the value of teamwork and community in finding you. The incident at the bazaar became a learning experience for the whole class. They continued their exploration of Samarkand with a renewed sense of togetherness and caution. Aziz, grateful for the support of his friends and teacher, felt a deeper connection to the values he had been taught. The adventure in Samarkand was proving to be more than just a trip. It was a journey of growth and understanding. Chapter 6. Lessons Under the Stars. As evening approached, the class made their way to the outskirts of Samarkand, near the historic site of the Ulugh Beg Observatory. Here, they would camp for the night under the starry sky, a perfect setting to learn about the astronomical achievements of the Islamic Golden Age. The campsite was set against a backdrop of rolling hills and open skies. As the students pitched their tents, Aziz felt a sense of adventure mixed with the tranquility of the natural surroundings. The night promised a different kind of learning, one that connected them to the universe and the scholars who had studied it centuries ago. After dinner, Mr. Karimov gathered the students around a crackling campfire. The stars above shone brightly, a celestial canvas that had fascinated humanity for millennia. Tonight, Mr. Karimov began, we are going to talk about one of the greatest astronomers of the Islamic world, Ulugh Beg, and his contributions to science. Aziz listened intently as Mr. Karimov described how Ulugh Beg built one of the world's most advanced observatories in Samarkand and created a star catalogue that was used by astronomers for centuries. The stories of Ulugh Beg's dedication to knowledge and his pursuit of understanding the cosmos were inspiring. Ulugh Beg's work shows us the importance of curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge, Mr. Karimov said. These are values deeply rooted in our culture and in the teachings of Islam, which encourages the quest for understanding and learning. The students then took turns looking through a telescope, marvelling at the moon's craters and the twinkling stars. Aziz felt a deep sense of connection to the past, to the scholars who had once gazed at the same sky, seeking to unlock the mysteries of the universe. As the night deepened, the students lay on their backs gazing up at the stars. Mr. Karimov pointed out constellations and shared more stories about the stars in Islamic history and folklore. Lying there, under the vast star-filled sky, Aziz thought about the vastness of the universe and the rich heritage of his own culture. He realized that knowledge and understanding were not just about learning facts and figures. They were about connecting with the world and its history, appreciating its wonders, and realizing one's place in the grand tapestry of existence. The night under the stars was more than just a lesson in astronomy. It was a journey through history, culture, and self-discovery. As Aziz drifted to sleep in his tent, he felt grateful for the experience and the lessons learned, both about the universe and about himself. The journey in Samarkand was shaping not just his knowledge of the world, but also his understanding of life and its values. Chapter 7. The Journey Home. The final day in Samarkand arrived, and it was time for Aziz and his classmates to return home. They packed up their camp near the Ulugh Beg Observatory, their hearts heavy with the bittersweet feeling of a journey coming to an end. As the bus travelled back, the students shared their favourite moments and the lessons they had learned. Aziz thought about the entire experience, the awe-inspiring historical sights, the adventure in the bazaar, the starry night of astronomical tales. Each moment had left an indelible mark on him. Mr. Karimov took the opportunity to encourage a reflection on their experiences. This trip was about more than just seeing Samarkand's sights, he said. It was about understanding our heritage, the importance of our culture, and the Islamic values that have guided us for centuries. Aziz listened to his classmates share their thoughts. Layla spoke about the beauty and intricacy of Islamic art and how it reflected the creativity and intelligence of her ancestors. Hassan talked about the importance of knowledge and the contributions of Muslim scholars to science and astronomy. When it was his turn, Aziz shared his reflections. This trip taught me about the richness of our culture and the importance of values like kindness, teamwork, and the pursuit of knowledge. I've learned that our heritage is not just in books and stories, it's around us in the places we live and the values we hold dear. The bus ride was filled with laughter, stories and songs, but also with thoughtful conversations and a deeper understanding of their shared heritage and values. As they neared their town, the students realized that they were returning not just with memories, but with a renewed sense of identity and a deeper appreciation for their culture. When the bus finally pulled into the school, parents were waiting to welcome them back. Aziz hugged his parents, feeling a rush of gratitude and love. He shared his adventures with them, his eyes shining with excitement. That night, as Aziz lay in bed, he reflected on the entire journey. The trip to Samarkand had been an adventure, a lesson in history and culture, and a journey of personal growth. He had seen the beauty of his heritage, the depth of his culture, and the values that had been passed down through generations. Aziz fell asleep with a smile, his dreams filled with the domes and minarets of Samarkand, the stars of the observatory, and the laughter of his friends. He knew that this journey would stay with him forever, a cherished memory and a guiding light for the future. The end of this trip was not just a return home, but the beginning of a lifelong journey of discovery, understanding, and pride in his culture and values.